Hello gentlemen, in this video we are talking colognes and fragrances, and specifically the best 10 that you can find for under $100 a bottle. In fact, half of these here are less than $50 a bottle. So if you are looking for something that smells great but is not going to break the bank, you definitely want to keep watching this video. Listen, I know what you might be thinking. Isn't this a menswear channel? Why am I talking about fragrance? And it's true, usually I'm reviewing pants or trying on shirts. But guess what? You wear a fragrance just like you wear clothing. And I've got some strong opinions. I've been collecting this stuff for years. I've got over 50 different bottles in my collection. So I am going to talk about fragrances from time to time on this channel. Now, how can I be objective? Well, fragrances are interesting because what might smell wonderful to me could be completely offensive to you. But fortunately, there's some great online resources. There's a website out there called Fragrantica, another one called Parfumo. And these have thousands of different user reviews where people go online and they rate a fragrance based on the scent and based on what they call sillage, which is essentially the strength of the fragrance and how well it lasts on your skin. So when I give a score, what I'm doing is I've compiled that information. I'm giving the score based on those online websites, not on my own opinion. We also need to talk about price because if you go into a retailer, say Nordstrom or Sephora, you're going to pay probably close to full price for any of these fragrances. Whereas if you go online, there are some reputable online retailers where you can save 50, sometimes even 75% off. And I've done the legwork here. In the description to this video, I've linked out the best place where you can find any one of these online. But enough talking about it. Let's jump right in. So we're going to start out with the least expensive fragrances and then work our way up. So first up is Joop fragrance. And this has been around since the late 80s, very popular in the early 90s. I used to wear this a lot as a teenager. Back then I just called it Joop, but it is pronounced Joop. You can find this online for about $22. That's for a 4-ounce bottle, so incredible value. This is a polarizing scent, 6.8 on the scent score. That's the lowest among all that I review today in this video. And it's a strong fragrance. 8.4 is among the stronger fragrances as far as the strength, the sillage. Orange blossom notes, there's vanilla. I smell a little bit of cinnamon in this. And it's hard for me to separate out my nostalgic feelings about this because I think it's incredible that you get something that smells this good for so cheap. But a lot of people don't like this, so you're going to want to try it out. You can find it at Walmart. Almost any cheap retailer will have this. Online, you get it for $22. That's almost unbeatable. If you do want a classier version of this, there is an Eau de Parfum version, a little bit classier scent. It is about $20 more, so about $40 a bottle. Next up, we have Encre Noir L'Extrême, which you can find online for $31. Retail price, if you go to the Lalique website, is $139. Lalique is the brand that produces this. They're known for doing jewelry and crystal wear. They're based in Paris. However, they are well known to have high quality fragrances. They have a number of them. This is my favorite. Encre Noir has a scent score of 8.2. Strength is more mid-range, 7.4. Notes of cypress, vetiver, benzoin, which is a fabulous resin. And I smell like this incense in there that may or may not actually have incense, but this is a dark fragrance. And when you, in fact, Encre Noir actually means black ink, and that is a good description of this fragrance. Very dark and not for everybody, but incredible high quality fragrance that just has a tremendously smooth, deep, dark smell to it that, again, wonderful and great value for the money. Next, we have Varvatos Vintage. Retail price on this fragrance, $122. However, online, you can get a bottle for only $36, and that's for a large bottle, like a 4.2-ounce bottle. You can get a smaller bottle, even less. Now, scent score, 8.3. The strength, 6.0. That's the weakest fragrance that I reviewed today. We're going to talk about that in just a minute. But the scent itself has some interesting notes. It's really well composed. It has rhubarb, it has cinnamon, balsam, there's a tobacco smell, very masculine smell. And I will tell you, this is one of my favorite scents. If we're just talking about the smell alone on your skin, this is almost a masterpiece. The problem is, this does a disappearing act. After 3 hours, I can hardly detect it anymore. So even though it's wonderful and just a well-crafted, smooth, masculine scent, it goes away. And so therefore, the value, you've got to judge that. I still think it's a great value. You just need to refresh it throughout the day. But again, everything but the longevity is fantastic about John Varvatos Vintage, which, by the way, does not smell anything like the other John Varvatos fragrances. Unlike the Lalique fragrances that I just talked about, where they all have kind of a similar DNA, John Varvatos fragrances all smell quite a bit different. So there's nothing else in the lineup like John Varvatos Vintage. I do recommend it. I think you'll love the scent, even if it doesn't last too long. Next, we have Bentley Intense. This is the same Bentley. This is the famous car company based in the UK. Retail price, $70. Online price, $36. That's for a 3.4 ounce. Scent score, 7.9. This is popular. Strength score, 8.2. This is going to last on your skin for several hours. Notes of black pepper, rum, a very pronounced rum, leather, and benzoin. By the way, great bottle here. I think this is a beautiful bottle, and this fragrance is well known to be great value for the money. Reminds me a lot of a popular fragrance from about 15 years ago called Terry Mugler Pure Malt. And so if you happen to be familiar with that fragrance, which has since been discontinued, chances are you're really going to like this fragrance. Boozy, but very delicious scent. Hugo Man, a retail price on this fragrance of $95, but an online price of $38. And that is for a larger 4.2 ounce bottle. Shown here is the 2.5 ounce bottle. And if you can find it, it might only be in the $25 to $30 range. Now the scores here, I don't know about. 7.2 scent score. I think it should be higher. 6.3 for the strength score. It could be a little bit all over the map here. One thing about this fragrance, it was popular in the 90s and then it was discontinued for a number of years. They picked it back up again in 2021. So some of those scores might be really old. This could be a slightly new variation. It does smell a lot like the bottle I had in the 90s. You get this green apple note and a lavender, a little bit of pine in here. I'll tell you what, I really love this scent. I think it's a good office scent. I get some compliments with this fragrance too. Believe it or not, I even got a compliment from my sister-in-law. I know, but a great scent. Again, good office scent that is not going to be too strong, and great value for the money. Very clean, fresh fragrance. Spicebomb by the house of Viktor Rolf. Retail price on this one, $138. Online price, you can pick it up $56. That's for a 3.4 ounce bottle. Scent score, 8.2. And this is another popular one. Strength, 7.5. Notes of pink pepper, grapefruit, cinnamon, and tobacco. Here's the thing with Spicebomb. The original is still the best. Since this was released in 2012, it's become a very popular fragrance, and the house of Viktor Rolf has released, I've lost count of how many variations and flankers there are of this. There's a nighttime version and an infrared version, and the original is still the best fragrance. The OG wins here. Quick funny story about Spicebomb. I once bought a bottle of this in Europe, and I flew to London, and they confiscated this at the airport. And I asked them why. I had the receipt and everything, and they said it is not an allowed shape that they would allow on a plane in London. So confiscated like a day after I bought it. Even though I had the receipt, I had to go home and buy another bottle. But you'll not be disappointed with Spicebomb. It's a great scent, and it's popular for a reason. But again, the original is the best version. Acqua di Parma Colonia Essenza. This is a flanker, meaning it's a different variation based on their original, in this case Colonia, which has been around for like 100 years, I think since 1916. But retail price here, $165. Online price, $76. Scent score, 8.3. Strength score, 6.5. This is an Eau de Cologne, so it's not as heavy a concentrate, but you do get some notes of bergamot and lemon, neroli, and orange. Make no mistake about it, this is a very citrusy floral fragrance, but done in a beautiful way that is a little bit masculine. In fact, this scent reminds me of my grandfather. Don't ask me why. Maybe it was some sort of aftershave that he used. He's been gone for many, many years, but there's something about the essence of essence that reminds me of him, and that's kind of what fragrance does for you. It takes you back to a time and a place. And Acqua di Parma is a niche house, unlike most of the fragrances on my list today, which are designer fragrances, meaning that they do clothes or jewelry. Acqua di Parma really focuses principally on fragrance. It's an Italian house, and most of their scents have this unique floral essence to them that remind me of Italy. I really love this fragrance, and very good value considering retail prices, $165. If you've been anywhere near a fragrance counter in the last 25 years, you probably recognize this bottle. This is Paul Gaultier Le Male, extremely popular fragrance. Now, I've got a very large size bottle here that's like 6.8 ounces. In reality, the more popular size is a 2.5 ounce bottle, which retails at $90, but you can pick it up online for $55. Now, scent score here, 7.8, strength, 7.6, notes of mint and lavender, vanilla, cinnamon. I'll tell you, this is a sweet fragrance, powdery, but really works well. I once worked with a real big guy who told me that he struggled with body odor, and he wore this all the time, and it smelled great on him. Rumor has it that the original formulation was going to be released as a women's fragrance, which makes sense because it's got that sweet, powdery, fresh, but they ended up putting in this bottle, and it's become a bestseller for men, and there's been several variations since then. Another situation where the original, I think, is still the best version. Powdery, fresh, and works well in a lot of different situations. Pretty versatile, I think. La Nuit de L'Homme by Yves Saint Laurent. This one retails at $118. You can find it online for $90. Scent score 8.6. Very popular. The most popular fragrance I review in this video, and really one of the more popular fragrances from any house, from anywhere. Strength score, a little bit on the weaker end, 6.5. I personally haven't noticed that this is a weak fragrance. It seems to last on my skin, but overall, the score here is below average. Notes of cardamom and cedar. There's some vetiver in there. Now, it's been said this is a sexy fragrance, and I tend to agree. It's almost like this is the fragrance if you had to explain to aliens who came down to Earth what fragrance is and then give them a bottle so they can try it themselves. This would be like the perfect fragrance. It's the fragrance for fragrance lovers. Again, very sexy evening appeal that I think a lot of people like. Wide appeal here, but more of an evening vibe to it, definitely. So, Fahrenheit by Dior. Retail price $118, and you can usually find this online for between $90 and $100 for a 3.4 ounce bottle. So a 20% discount. Scent score 8.3, strength 7.8. Now I would give this a much higher strength. It lasts all day on my skin. Notes of violet, mandarin orange, cedar, and leather. Now let me tell you, this is my all-time favorite fragrance. It came out in the late 80s and made waves because it's got such a unique scent to it. And I picked up my first bottle as a teenager in 1992, and I've owned a bottle pretty much ever since. I don't wear it all the time now, but usually 8 to 10 times a year I'll wear this. And I almost always get a compliment, even from strangers. They will compliment the way I smell. Just such a unique masterpiece. Some people say it has a gasoline vibe to it, and I don't like the smell of gasoline, but I will admit this has sort of a petroleum-like flavor to it. And I can't explain, but it's very unique. I don't know another fragrance out there that has anything quite like this. A masterpiece, and you can pick this up, and I'll tell you, I think it's a compliment magnet. Lasts all day on your skin, and you can get this for under $100. I highly recommend. It will always be my signature scent. All right, guys, let me know what you think of this video. I realize it's something a little bit different, but a lot of fun to put together. Did I miss any fragrance that you love that's a great value for under $100? And I'll tell you, I'm already starting to think about my next fragrance video where I would feature 10 of my favorite fragrances for over $100. That could be a lot of fun. But again, if you've got a comment, please like and subscribe. That really helps. And I've done a lot of the legwork for you. Again, check in the description if you're interested in buying any of these. I've linked to the lowest price where you can find these online to pick up a bottle and save a little bit of money. So as always, thank you for watching, and I hope to see you next time.